Hey, what's up guys? I'm here fresh off of Coach Kyle's running challenge to talk to you guys about Glute Activation series. So this is something that's great to do before you go, shoot out on a run or before you start a workout. You want to activate those glutes because their primary focus and the primary function rather is on hip extension. So, getting them activated, telling the body, hey, we're getting ready to do movement and I need to use you muscle group is a great way to start. So we're going to start off first with a couple of static exercises. And before you start these, it's always best to really focus on making sure that your pelvis is in the right position. And the reason I say that is because if we start with our pelvis in an anteriorly tilted position, anatomically you're already pulling on your hamstrings. And then when you go up into hip extension, really what you've done is you've taken the glutes off of their primary job and put it into the hamstrings. And again, being that you've tilted that pelvis forward, you're already putting them in a stretch. So one of the things you'll commonly see is people go, cramp, cramp, cramp. And that will be the reason why. So I'm gonna check my pelvis first, all right? First, I'm gonna brace my core. Inhale, exhale. As I exhale, I have that little body girdle, my core just kind of like lightly bringing and approximating and then turning on. All right, so I got a little brace in there, as if someone's gonna punch me in my gut. Next, I'm just gonna rock back and forth with my pelvis just to find that sweet spot. So I'm gonna really exaggerate anterior tilt, anterior pelvic tilt, AKA pooching the booty out, so to speak, and then posteriorly tilting or pulling my tailbone up towards my face. All right, between those two exaggerated postures, you wanna find the middle ground where those hip bones are directly up and in line with your shoulders. Or you could err on the side of posteriorly tilting just a little bit more if you're a lordotic person such as myself. That way when you go into motion and your body naturally wants to go right back into the anteriorly tilted position, you should be able to hold neutral. Okay, so I am braced. I have that neutral position now on my pelvis. I have a nice right degree angle between my knees and my hips. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dig my heels down and lift my toes up. And again, that's just gonna reinforce to my body that I'm using my posterior chain muscles for this action, all right? I'm gonna go right into a 30-second, time myself, a 30-second isometric glute bridge hold. So I'm going to, again, I'm still braced, my pelvis is neutral, I'm gonna squeeze my glutes and I'm gonna extend my hips up, all right? Now my goal is to get a nice straight line between my knees, my hips, and my shoulders. I'm gonna have my hands back like this and out of the way so that I'm not tempted to push and use my upper body to help me there, all right? So my goal is to just keep everything in alignment, keep that gentle brace, keep tension right here in my glutes, and my hamstrings are assisting. That's their job, is to assist. The glute's the primary mover, okay? So that's about I have 5 seconds left on that one. I'm gonna come back down. I'm gonna reset. All right, so that was a static double leg hold. Now, I'm gonna show you a static single leg hold. What I'll do is I'll divide that time in half. So again, pelvic rock, anterior to posterior tilt, brace that core, set the pelvis, set the heels, fire the glutes, push up, and now I'm gonna take one leg away, all right? So again, my goal is to still maintain that nice straight line between my knee and my hip. This one is a little more challenging because now my body weight's loaded in just one leg versus two, all right? So I'm gonna go about 15 seconds here and I'm gonna switch to the other side. If I need to adjust or I felt any shifting or anything like that in my pelvis and that control, then I'm gonna readjust it before I go back in to the opposite leg. All right, so again, once again, really trying to hold full hip extension. And I wanna mention here, that's time, I wanna mention here that when you're in hip extension, you want just that. I don't want to add my back. I don't want to get extra back bending into it because at the end of the day, my spine loves to stay in its happy neutral home, okay? All right, so that's a single leg hold. Now, if I want to take that single leg hold, make it more challenging, what I can do, same setup, brace the tummy, pelvis neutral, hips up. I can come up, I can hold in a straight line like I just did. I can bring it up higher and hold. You can also swing it out to the side and hold. Now you're adding, you can hear my voice. Now you're adding an element of rotational, trying to overcome rotational torque on that spine. So you're kicking in your obliques now to assist you on that and a little bit of that lateral hip musculature in order to help you, again, stabilize. I'm gonna show you that from this position. It's a little easier to see that I'm going off the midline. So again, hips up, extend, and out and hold. And down. So that's just an additional way to challenge that movement even more and trying to hold that. I usually go about 15 seconds per leg, or you know, if you want to go a little bit longer and go 30 seconds per leg, by all means you can do that too as well. All right, in addition to the holding exercises, I'm going to show you actually one more hold, one more isometric before I go into more movement. But this one is a reverse plank. A lot of people forget about this one. And it's a little more challenging. So we do a lot of planking, right, for our frontal side, for our core. We get our elbows underneath us and we hold and make that a static position. A reverse plank is the same, and it's even more challenging again because now what I've done is I've increased that leverage. So shorter lever, not as bad, but a longer lever means there's way more demand on now my glutes and my hips and my hamstrings. Particularly, you're going to feel this a lot more in your hamstrings. So you're going to set yourself up as if we flip that plank upside down. We're gonna have your elbows underneath you, your heels are dug into the ground, and I can't emphasize enough that whole pelvic tilt thing, so really pull it back in, brace that tummy, okay, again, just try to pretend like someone's gonna punch me in the stomach, all right? But from here now, I'm just going to basically lift my body up off the ground, okay, glutes are off the ground, and I'm holding, all right? So this one really forces you to hold that neutral alignment of the pelvis. Okay, so this is my reverse plank. I hold for approximately 30 seconds or so. And again, you'll start to see, initially it's not so bad, but it starts kicking in after a while and you're gonna feel those hamstrings say, hey, hey, hey. But just remember, stay tucked under. Keep that pelvis tucked under so that you don't, yank on the hamstrings too much, okay? So this is my reverse plank. All right, that's approximately 30 seconds. Okay, now I'm gonna go into a couple of dynamic moves, all right? So we'll start with your basic double leg, up, down bridge. Again, hands back to get them out the way. Check that pelvis, activate the core. Heels down, toes up to reinforce posterior chain involvement. Fire the glutes, hips up, and I just lower and press, lower and press. Every time again that I press, I'm focusing on trying to get full hip extension in a nice straight line. We say use that arm ruler. And again, I'm making sure that I'm not overdoing it and going into back extension, okay? But training the athlete here to just focus on hip flexion, hip extension, hip flexion, hip extension, and what muscle groups are the leaders, the glutes, okay, in that movement. All right, so that's your double leg. You can go for reps or for time on that one. So let's say like 10 to 20 repetitions, go out for your run or start your squats, or 30 seconds worth or so, go out for your run, start your lift for the day. The other thing we can do is we can now add a component of alternating the legs. So that again adds in that rotational component that you're trying to fight, you're trying to anti-rotate when you start alternating legs. All right, so here is my march now. So again, hips up nice and even. My goal is to keep my hip bone straight, all right? As I raise that right leg, don't drop, keep the hips up and alternate from side to side. Nice knee punch. Okay, so again, as mentioned, as I raise that right leg and that left leg, your goal is to ensure that those hips don't drop every time. That's showing good rotational control. If you see that happening, that's something that needs to be worked on quite a bit to improve that, all right? Next up, I'm going to show you some isometric whole but opposite leg or ipsilateral leg movements, okay? So we'll start with an up-down swing. On this one, my goal in my stabilizing leg is to hold that hip extension the entire time while my dynamic leg or my opposite leg is doing the movements. So I'm working two things. I'm working stability on my holding side, All right, and then of course I'm working the movement on the opposite side. But really the challenge is to hold still on that side that you deem to hold still, okay? So this one, I go up into hip extension, kick that right leg out, and I'm going with an up down swing, okay? Really emphasize that swing, but really emphasize the hold in this hip, all right? This one you can go for, again, time or repetitions. So we'll knock out 10, all right? And then we'll switch it over to the other side. Again, hip up and full extension, and an up down swing, okay? You'll start to see the more repetitions that you do, it does get challenging to really hold and lock in on that stabilizing side. All right, here are a couple of more modifications to that. We can abduct next. All right, that one's pretty challenging. Again, you're really, the further out that leg goes, you're really fighting to not let that stabilizing hip drop as you swing out and then pull back in. And then this one's one of my favorites. This one's a rotational. So on this one, you wanna make sure that in your stabilizing leg, you're gonna have to open up that angle just a little bit wider. And you'll see why here in just a second, okay? So again, hips up, take that leg high. I'm going under and back up top. So I'm going under the hole made in this leg and then right back up top. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, so that's rotational. And actually I'll show you guys that from the side too as well. All right, so again, pelvic check. Widen out that space a little bit. Normally I'm in about this far. I'm gonna widen it out just the hair because this leg's gotta go under that hole and back up top. All right, so again, sets 10 each leg. And you got yourself a warmed up glute and hamstring here. All right, you guys can play with those. Again, use them for activation to start, you know, a series right before lifting or running or what have you, or you can just use it within the program itself. So hopefully this was good for you guys, and we'll see you out there.